Be honest. How many skills, habits, routines, or trends have you chased? Just because you were afraid of being left behind. Not because you needed them, not because they solved a real problem, but because everyone else was talking about it. That feeling, that is not ambition. That is someone convincing you that what you know isn't enough. That is fear carefully manufactured. And all of this for what? Not because it suddenly stopped working, not because the reality changed overnight, but just because fear is easier to sell than the truth. Now, if we talk about the real trick being played, what rarely gets said out loud, that a lot of modern industries don't just solve problems, they create them. They create this insecurity, then urgency, and then guilt. One day you are fine with how you work, how you live, or how you think, until you are told that there is a better way to do it. And suddenly your feed is full of things like 12 ways you're drinking water wrong, 10 habits silently ruining your mornings, 7 mistakes successful people never make, or 5 things you should stop doing before you are 30. Not because something actually broke, but because someone convinced you that it did. Apparently, I was told that I was breathing wrong my whole life, yet here I am talking to you. Now, suddenly waking up early isn't a discipline anymore, it's a hack. Doing your job well isn't enough, you need a framework. Living a normal life isn't acceptable, you need optimization. And this is what we are being told. And once you buy into all this convincing, you get too busy fixing yourself, upgrading yourself, trying to catch up, to stop and ask whether the problem was ever real. Now, to prove my point, let me tell you an interesting story which I recently narrated in a podcast about AI, the link to which I will add in the description. So, what happens is a boy once went to a museum and saw an old artifact and became awestruck. The curator saw his curiosity and asked him if he would like to hold it. He was reluctant at first, but he held it evidently, but dropped it and eventually broke it. Now, the curator gave him a look. He panicked, felt ashamed, asked if this was insured, to which the curator replied, "No, this cannot be insured because it was a priceless artifact." Now, the boy felt more guilt, more shame, and more desperation to do something about it. But the curator continued by saying that there are 10 of these artifacts in the entire world, and all of them are already locked away. So, what you broke was actually a replica. Now, what do we learn from this? We have to understand that an object or a person or a thing has no value in reality. Our mind is that assigns meaning to it. The perception of reality is far more powerful than the reality itself. We make these things or even people special in our mind when in fact the reality is way different. Hence, there is no such thing as perfect way or a perfect person. We just idolize them. We work under this impression of being the employee of the myth of your own personality, thinking that this is the next big thing that will help me grow. Now, what you also need to understand from this example is that fear also works the same way as guilt, and so does this FOMO. And that's what exactly been happening to you. You are not behind, you have just been convinced that you are. This fear, this hype, this urgency, every single thing is manufactured by these so-called influencers, content creators, and the organizations all around the world. And all of this doesn't come from the growing technology. You are mistaken. It rather comes from psychology, which the marketing people exploit the most. We already know how this works. Let's say if you genuinely want an answer and you are posting about it online, you don't have to ask the right question. You just have to post the wrong answer and there will be a plethora of answers coming your way, because people are more motivated to correct you rather than to help you. This same psychology is at play here. Not truth, not the usefulness, but attention, complexity, and mystery. And once they capture all of this, fear is what does the rest. Fear makes people compliant. If learning a new skill feels overwhelming, mystical, or impossible to grasp, That's not an accident, because when you feel like you know nothing, you stop thinking and you start following. And that is exactly what they want you to do. The reality is far simpler than what we have been led to believe. Most of us are being told to fix ourselves, fix something that was never broken. It was just noise. The noise got louder, the comparisons got closer, and the illusion of being behind became the constant. But growth has never been about doing more. It has been about doing what actually matters and ignoring the rest. Know this: most progress in life doesn't actually come from upgrades, it comes from clarity. And clarity doesn't come from panic, it comes from slowing down enough to think for yourself. And yes, I understand it is necessary to keep yourself up to date in your line of work. However, you need to be able to distinguish between what's really necessary and what is just noise. Now, you must be thinking, what's the fix? But I would rather leave you with a question and the answer to which shall give you clarity. So, the next time you feel that pressure to learn something urgently, to fix yourself immediately, or to chase the next right way to do things, take a pause and just ask yourself one simple thing: who benefits from me feeling behind right now? If the answer isn't you, you don't owe it your time, your energy, or your attention. You don't need to catch up. You don't need to optimize your entire existence. You don't need permission to trust your own judgment. Yes, we may fall behind, take the wrong decision, fail at the beginning, make mistakes, see people getting ahead, but that's how we actually learn. We cannot have all the answers at hand ready to succeed. And the moment you choose to think for yourself again, that's when you're already ahead. So go out there, learn, try, fall, make mistakes. Feed your curiosity, not the fear.